there's only so much you can do unless you are the decision makers. There's only so much you can do unless you're the policy changers. So we have to try to push for those policy changes, which is what we're doing with the documentary. But unless people see themselves represented in the media, in the literature, then they're not going to trust that governing body to look after them. And that's what's been happening. And these disparities, I don't think are there by accident, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely worse in other countries. And I feel privileged to have been, regardless of the colour of my skin, born in a country that had the NHS and was able to get that access so quickly, because I dread to think what would have happened if your cancer had come and you'd still be in Nigeria.
I was still in Nigeria because there's no NHS.
Hello and welcome to Women Wellbeing with me, Natalie Anderson. Today we're talking the disparity in Black women's cancer care, how to evoke intergenerational conversations around women's health, and the delicacies of the mother-daughter relationship with actor, producer and charity campaigner Victoria Ekanoye and her gorgeous mum Candy. So sit back, relax and get ready to join us in our conversation.
Because we grew up in Nigeria where cancer was something that people shunned away from.
Right.
And if you ever got anything like that, nobody speaks to you, nobody wants to know you, you are isolated.
Right.
So to me, I picked something up that's going to make me isolated from my family. So I'm thinking, I can't tell them. But when it got to the point where the doctors made an appointment for me to go in hospital and have an operation, I need someone to look after my daughter, because Victoria was away at the time, working. Mm-hmm. And it was time for me to start telling everyone. And I was petrified of telling them what their reaction was going to be. So I left it till last minute and went into hospital on my own to have the operation. And when I came out of surgery, I rang the family then and said, I've had the surgery now. You can come and visit.
Today, I am very excited to be joined by not one, but two amazing women who are on a mission to make change in Black women's cancer care. As both survivors of breast cancer and campaigners for Prevent Breast Cancer Charity, they are here to bravely share their personal experiences with the disease and how, as a mother and daughter, their journeys have shaped their relationship. As passionate advocates for change, they are shining a spotlight on Black women's health across the continents with the brilliant documentary Shades of Survival, and are using their platforms to get women's voices heard in Parliament and across the globe. As an acclaimed actor and West End star, the daughter of our duo is now firmly back on our screens, recently starring in Vera, My Bloody Galentine, and alongside Kelsey Grammer in Christmas in Paradise, and is currently appearing as Rachel Brenton in Paramount Plus's latest smashed hit, Girl Taken. She's a force to be reckoned with, and I'm sure she gets it from her mama. It's the gorgeous Victoria Ekanoye and her lovely mum, Candy. Hello!
What an intro!
Oh, well, you deserve it to be here. Thank you so much.
You've actually got me crying.
Oh,
no!
Already?
Oh, we started already.
Oh, gosh. Oh, don't, because you'll set me off.
You're okay.
Yes, I've got some, I'm ready.
She brought tissue. She's
bless
prepped.
you. I mean, we know each other.
We do.
We know it. And I always knew, look, I see you're going to start me off
Oh,
now.
God.
I always knew that this one was going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to talk about this. We were at an event together. We were at Pride of Britain. And there was an amazing lady who won an incredible award for the work that she was doing in raising awareness around Black women with cancer, and how the disparity across Black women's healthcare in general was just so apparent. And for you, Vic, I know that has been, part of your experience, part of your journey, and something that you're really, really passionate about. Both of you, as I said in the introduction, have had breast cancer. You've had cancer in your family with many of your female relatives. But if we can just kind of, I suppose, rewind and look at your initial journey, Victoria, it was 2021, and you just had your little boy, Theo. You were 39 at the time.
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
And you found a lump. Just talk to me about that.
Oh gosh, it's bringing it all back. There's going to be a lot of tears today.
Yeah.
So Theo was 6 months and I was breastfeeding him when I found the lump. And honestly, the first emotion I felt was anger, because I just thought, really? Right now? And we were in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Really early on in the pandemic as well. It was very scary. And as you say, our family's just been chased by this disease. I'm the fifth person now in 3 generations to have developed breast cancer, the ninth to have developed some form of cancer. And it's not that one should and one shouldn't, but it just felt really unfair.
Yeah.
Really unfair. But Theo kept us all going, for sure. I'd say the hardest part, I mean, there are lots of hard parts, but the hardest part for me was thinking about what that would mean for him if I didn't make it.
Yeah.
And sorry. And it always stays with you because, they say once a cancer patient, always a cancer patient. Is it going to come back? Am I treating my body well enough to not make it hospitable for disease, which is what I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing now, is to keep it as, they call it, keep your terrain healthy. They call it the terrain in the cancer world.
Yeah.
But going back to my process, I went for an ultrasound. They said I was fine. I'm stubborn because I'm an Ekanoye. So I went back for a second about 10 days later. And again, they said I was fine, but they said, we can see small calcifications, but we think they're due to blocked milk ducts, which can happen when you're breastfeeding. But with my family history, I found it very bizarre that they were willing to just let it be. They said, keep breastfeeding him for another 6 months and then wait for a month for the milk to dry up, and we will do a mammogram, because obviously with all the milk you can't see it. We will do a mammogram and then we'll be sure. And I just thought, wait, so you're not sure and you want to wait another 7 months?
7 months.
Before you clarify for yourselves that I don't have cancer. Anyway, at the same time, there's this rhetoric that unfortunately swims around your head and a lot of people's heads, that you are either being a bit of a hypochondriac because at the end of the day, they're medical professionals and they're telling you their medically professional opinion. And how many times can I keep going back? Do I go for a third opinion? I felt it was wrong. I know my body because I have sickle cell and I have to be very body aware. And so it felt a bit gaslighty at the same time as well, if I'm honest. But there was a huge part of me that hoped I was wrong. So I just booked Death in Paradise.
Yeah.
And so I flew out to Guadeloupe with my mum and Theo, because I was obviously still breastfeeding. And whilst I was adjusting my mic, I found a second lump on set.
Right.
And just had to kind of take myself off for a minute and have a pep talk and be like, you're here for a job. You can do nothing about it right now. Get the job finished, get home and go back and push and push. And we had been in France for the first 2 ultrasounds, which is why I'm always saying this isn't a UK issue or an issue in England. This is a global problem, hence the documentary. So then I came back, and the reason why we'd had to come back sooner is because Johnny, my partner's mum, had just been diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
Right.
So we came to see her because she was having her first round of chemotherapy. And I hadn't told Johnny yet about the lumps. I hadn't told him about either ultrasound. I hadn't told my mum because I didn't want to worry anyone unless there was something to worry them about, especially because the doctors were saying, you're fine. I don't want to say, oh, by the way, I think I might have cancer. And then it's nothing. And all that stress, especially because mum had been through it. So I finally remember we were all visiting Sue, Johnny's mum, and I was watching him and Theo, who wasn't even 1 yet, and his mum playing. And I just thought, what's he going to do if he loses us both? Because it's hard at the best of times, but to lose your partner and your mum and then to raise Theo. So I ended up telling him that night and telling him that the next day I was going to call my GP in the UK.
Yeah.
And not leave until she got me seen at the clinic. Thankfully, there's a system called the One Stop Breast Clinic. So if you're symptomatic, they see you within 2 weeks.
Okay.
And at that clinic appointment, they do everything. So there's no back and forth thing. They did a physical examination, an ultrasound, a mammogram, and a biopsy, all in the same. I was there for 4 hours. They did it all in the same day. And I remember the oncologist came to me. She's like, look, I won't beat around the bush. I'm not happy about what I'm seeing on the screens, but we have to get the biopsy results back. Can you come back in 7 days? And can you bring someone? When they say, can you bring someone? We've heard that a lot before. And it's kind of, you know. So Johnny came with me that following week and I was diagnosed because I pushed.
Because you pushed for it 3 times. I mean,
you shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't have to. I mean, that's, like you say, what I'm baffled by, I suppose, is the fact that you have a history. You know, with your mum. You were 41, Candy, when you were diagnosed, and that was 2003.
Yeah.
And I mean, you initially didn't tell anyone, did you?
No, I didn't. No.
Like mother, like daughter.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So you didn't tell anyone either. I mean, what were your reasons for not telling anyone at that time?
So I come from 6 siblings, so there's 7 of us, then my mum. So they were all female in the family. We didn't even think about cancer then because we only lost my auntie to cancer in 1980.
Right.
So it was a long time ago for us. And when I was going for my tests and everything, I wasn't even thinking along the lines of cancer. It just wasn't in my... it wasn't anything I thought of. But when the doctor actually examined me and said, oh, yeah, there is a lump, my heart dropped.
Yeah. Literally
dropped. But then I thought, no, it can't be. It would just be something that you can just remove it, whatever it is. And I took that and ran with it. And it wasn't until I was actually there and the doctor said, oh, you didn't bring anyone? And I went, no, I've come on my own. And I saw the nurse next to me and I went, oh, I knew then that they were about to give me bad news. And taking that bad news, going home, telling my girls, Tasha was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And telling my partner at the time and telling my sisters and my mum. I was frightened to death of telling them, but I was also, because we grew up in Nigeria where cancer was something that people shunned away from.
Right.
And if you ever got anything like that, nobody speaks to you, nobody wants to know you, you are isolated.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, I picked something up that's going to make me isolated from my family. So I'm thinking, I can't tell them. But when it got to the point where the doctors made an appointment for me to go in hospital and have an operation, I need someone to look after my daughter. Because Victoria was away at the time, working. And it was time for me to start telling everyone. And I was petrified of telling them what their reaction was going to be. So I left it till last minute and went into hospital on my own to have the operation. And when I came out of surgery, I rang the family then and said, oh, I've had the surgery now. You can come and visit.
Gosh. Oh my gosh, you're so brave.
That's what I did.
Like, that's really brave to do that. And what was the reaction?
The reaction was, they were very quiet. Like, they were looking at me as if to say, is she cracking a joke or what? What's she talking about? So, literally, I was always, like, making jokes anyway. And the way I speak sometimes, they probably thought, oh, she's just cracking some silly joke about. Because literally, I just sat down and just said, oh, by the way, because the kids were upstairs playing, oh, by the way, I've got breast cancer and I've got to go into hospital on Monday and have an operation. That's literally what I just said in front of them all. And they just sat there and they didn't say anything. And then I went home and nobody rang, nobody said anything.
Gosh.
And it wasn't until I came out of theatre that I rang them and said, oh, I've had the operation. And my mum said, you were serious? And I went, yeah, I've had an operation. And then they came to see me because I didn't want them to feel like they needed to carry this burden that I had.
Yeah.
So I wanted to keep it for myself, to try and keep it for as long as I can so that they didn't have to worry about it. But they had to know in the end.
And that seems so similar to you, Victoria. Like, you literally, it's almost parallel stories there. I mean, for you, Candy, when Victoria told you that was what was happening, I mean, your heart must have just dropped.
Yeah. When Victoria said she was going to do some work, can I look after Theo? She was gone for a while. And when she came back, she
I couldn't lift him.
She couldn't lift him.
Because I'd had the biopsy.
Because she had the biopsy done. So I was passing Theo to her to carry, because he had his arms out ready for his mum. And she was like, I can't carry him, Mum. I can't carry him, she said to me. And I didn't know what she meant. And then afterwards, she then said to me, I've had a biopsy. And what? I was completely shocked. And she could tell from my reaction that that's not what I was expecting her to say. So once Theo had gone to bed, she then spoke to me, and Johnny was looking after Theo. And then she was more confident than I was.
Yeah.
She was trying to reassure me not to worry. So she constantly was just saying, oh, they've got it in hand. It's going to be sorted. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. But I know that cancer doesn't just disappear. Even after you've gone through it, it's still there in the back of your mind. Mine's now 23 years ago. Every year around my birthday, when I go for my mammogram, I am petrified of what the result's going to be.
Yeah.
Because I know that it could come back anytime. Just have to make sure I'm eating healthily, exercising, have a, clear mind, and just keep going.
And how did you navigate that together then, that journey of, because I expect, Victoria, you wouldn't be wanting to burden your mum, and you'd be like, oh, she's already gone through that. And you're thinking, I need to be there for her. As a mother-daughter, how... Oh, gosh,
I know. It's a lot.
How did you work through that?
We just leaned into each other, didn't we? I mean, when my mum's younger sister had breast cancer around the same time as you, and she always says that she's not glad but thankful for the experience because she was able to help her get through it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the same for me. So I felt safe because I'm her daughter, and I thought she's the most tenacious person I've ever met in my life, no matter what comes at her. And I said, I have to be like that. I have to do it like that. I've just had a baby. We're in this crazy time with the pandemic. I don't know what anything means right now, but what I do know is I have to survive it. And she just had this, you're going to get through it energy about her. And so I did.
Yeah.
But the guilt I felt was intense. I didn't want anybody to worry. I didn't want them to not know what to say, not know how to be. There's always this, you never quite know. It's not the greatest thing in the world to have to tell somebody, but I always worry about managing other people's emotions. And that's in part why I didn't say anything until I knew.
Yeah.
And I may have not told Mum until I'd had the results, had I not been able to lift Theo, and then it was kind of had a bit of blood coming through on my t-shirt, and you're just constantly trying to protect everybody.
I mean, from this point though, and that both of your experiences and what you and your wider family and also other people have experienced, there clearly is a disparity, when you're talking about women's health equity. And I couldn't believe it, like when I was researching for this chat and some of the information that you guys provided with regards to breast cancer and Black women. I mean, the fact that I think it's 38% of women will only survive in the US compared to 90% of white women. And there's the clinical data and the trials of there's no data in this country for Black women that are going through any kind of trials. I find that completely baffling.
I know.
Which, brings me to kind of where you guys are at now with wanting to shine a spotlight on, look, we need to open up this conversation. As you've said, from with Nigerian culture, it's not something that you talk about. It's within certain cultures. I mean, tell me your experience. Tell me, Victoria, like what have you found and what needs to be done?
I think the difference, the nuance within the different countries and continents is so. It's difficult because the health care system is difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult because the culture is different, sorry. So, for instance, with Shades of Survival, the documentary, we shot in Nigeria and South Africa. We went to the States, France, and the UK. For instance, in Nigeria, there are 5 working CT scans. 5 in the whole,
country.
whole country.
And the one where we went to shoot, so we shot in Abuja and in Lagos. Abuja is the capital. It had been broken for 6 months. Now, there is an issue when it comes to finances, and there is an issue when it comes to access, as in people being able to travel to where these scanners are. But at the same time, and the problem does begin at home, just like it does for any woman who is navigating breast cancer, is... So I think it was 1993, correct me if I'm wrong, that women were included in clinical trials. Any woman, regardless of colour, race, everything. And even less so now, I think, at this point, we're looking at about 3 or 4%.
Yeah.
And that might be different in different countries, but it doesn't really matter. It's the fact that there's such a huge gap between... It's almost like Black women are at the bottom rung of the ladder when it comes to healthcare.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, on top of the trials, tribulations, health disparities, health inequities that there are within the medical system, when it comes to the cultures in Nigeria, in South Africa, also in the South Asian community, there is a lot when it comes to religion, cultural differences. There's a taboo and a shame about body parts, talking about body parts, talking about illnesses.
And we see that with regards to even like menopause and maternal health and all these other, avenues of kind of women's health. There is so many topics that are shrouded in secrecy, or there's a shame attached to it, and it prevents people from, even HRT, for example, it prevents women from accessing the care that they need or that they would like to get support for. I mean, just going back to what you're saying there, it's kind of, but within the cancer kind of area, it's huge. And I think is it in Africa that there's the 5-year survival rate is, if I just have a look on here, the 5-year survival rate is 40% compared to 90% of women in the UK, which, I mean, like as you say, with access to different treatments, fair enough, may well be limited in certain areas, but still, across the board, it's a huge disparity, isn't it?
There's so many reasons, and I guess with the work that we do, there's only so much you can do unless you are the decision makers. There's only so much you can do unless you're the policy changers. So we have to try to push for those policy changes, which is what we're doing with the documentary. But unless people see themselves represented in the media, in the literature, then they're not going to trust that governing body to look after them. And that's what's been happening. And these disparities, I don't think are there by accident, unfortunately. And it's definitely worse in other countries. And I feel privileged to have been, regardless of the colour of my skin, born in a country that had the NHS and was able to get that access so quickly. Because I dread to think what would have happened if your cancer had come and you'd still be in Nigeria.
I was still in Nigeria because there's no NHS. There's no...
Because I remember, oh my gosh, there was this one woman who was talking about the fact that she'd paid for tamoxifen, which for those that don't know is the drug that you take for 5 years after breast cancer, and it wasn't a real drug. She had paid for it, and they were just giving these women, working out of this false factory and giving these women essentially placebos, but it blew my mind.
That's terrible.
That's how unsafe it is. And each country, each continent will have its flaws when it comes to keeping people safe. And that's why I feel like we have to start with ourselves. So we have to be checking ourselves.
Yeah.
And I had so many people contacting me when I was diagnosed saying, we're so sorry, you've just had Theo. This is so unfair. What can we do? Can we help? And I said, honestly, I've got this. I'll be okay. If you want to do something for me, put a date in your diary 1 week after your period and check yourself every single month. That's all I need, because it's just peace of mind. And that's why I was so open about my diagnosis and the process of my treatment and everything. Because I just thought, how else can I help at this point? And it made it feel a little bit more meaningful rather than meaningless and senseless. And
Candy, can I ask as well? So you found it was the doctors that found your lump.
That's right.
And were you checking before that?
No, because like I said, we only had one auntie that had breast cancer. We didn't know we had a history.
Yeah.
So there was no reason for me to do a check. I went in basically because I pulled a muscle from working in the gym.
Gosh.
And because it happened in my right, under my armpit, she checked and she said, "Oh, why are you here?" "I'll just check." "Do you check yourself?" And I said, "No." "Well, I'll just check for you." And then she just kept going back to the same area over and over again. And he said, "Do you realise you've got a lump?" And literally when she told me that, my heart dropped. But then she put my finger to where it was and said, "Feel it." And I had my hand there and I was like, I would never have guessed that was a lump. There was no way I would have guessed that was a lump. And that's when she said, "I'm going to refer you to get a mammogram done and a biopsy."
And do you think as well, like you said, growing up, that again, body parts and, like being kind of checking our own bodies and having agency over our own bodies. I mean, even I remember being really young and being like, "Oh no, you don't talk about periods."
Exactly.
I mean, it's hilarious really that I'm doing this podcast where I talk about everything, because when I was young, a teenager, I thought everything was like, "Oh, don't talk about that.
Yeah.
You don't talk about that." And would that have been the same for you?
It was the same for me because I went to a boarding school and I was 13 years old when I started boarding school.
Right.
And so I didn't start my period until I was that age. But when I started my period, even though I lived in a house full of women, my older sisters, my mum, nobody ever mentioned it because they don't talk about it. So when I went to boarding school and I started my period, I was petrified. I thought I was dying. I literally sat on the loo. It's not even a loo. It's a little hole that you just do your business in. It's not a toilet. Because I went to a boarding school in a village, in a remote village, where there's no electricity, no water, no anything. And I was just sat there crying, not moving, until one person came in and then explained it to me and then gave me some towels and told me this was going to happen to me every month. So I didn't have a
knowledge
clue,
at all.
no knowledge.
Nothing.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And then when I was 15 and I went back to the city to live with my parents and my sisters, because I was the only one who went to boarding school out of all of them. When I came back, my younger sister, same one, Tracy, started a period at school and she was crying her eyes out because she didn't have a clue either.
Right.
Now, I didn't think to tell her or say that this is going to happen to you because it just doesn't, it's not something they talk about in the family. So, and then she started crying. So I then said to her, and I gave her my cardigan to wrap around a uniform because she stained a uniform, wrapped it round her and then said, "Look, when you get home, I will explain everything to you or you can ask any of the sisters." But she was the last one in the family.
Yeah.
And there's 7 of us. And none of you
had that intergenerational conversation.
To ask and say, "Oh, by the way, this is what's going to happen to you when you get to a certain age. You're going to get a period." It was never talked about.
I think that's a huge generational, for me, it's something that I'm hoping we can break the cycle with. Our generation can break that cycle of not talking about those kinds of things. Yeah. Because just like, I don't know, you pass down your grandmother's favourite recipe for the sponge cake, but we don't pass down the information that, oh, by the way, Auntie Nora had breast cancer, you should get yourself checked.
That's what I mean.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
And it's because of this taboo and also shame to an extent. And, if you'd have known to do that, then it wouldn't have been so traumatic for you. And the same with your sister. Yeah. But the only way you can know is if somebody tells you, and if everyone's keeping everything hush-hush. That's why I'm just shouting from the rooftops.
That's what I mean. So obviously that brings me to kind of like where you guys are right now. I mean, you're a patron for Prevent Breast Cancer and you're an ambassador. And trying to kind of get that conversation out and say to women, please check yourselves and please, have those conversations within the family. Yeah. And I know obviously with the documentary Shades of Survival, you have also kind of petitioned the government as well. And you've sent a letter, which is backed by the charity and by other MPs as well. Just saying, look, we need to be taken more seriously. We need to be heard. Where are you at the minute with that?
I mean, we've had an acknowledgement, which is we always expected would take months and months, but we've had an acknowledgement saying thank you, and we're looking into. It's not a claim. The facts and figures are there, so it's not so much a claim. It's more a request of us wanting specific amounts of money to be put towards the outreach and the clinical trials to be more equal and things like that. So we hope that the list that they have, which we know is very, very long, isn't triaged so much to the point where ours is put to the bottom.
Yeah.
There's only so much, as I said, that we can do. We can, fight for these changes. But we're really proud of what we've managed to achieve so far with Shades of Survival. And if I'm honest, it's been, almost 3 years now, us working on this documentary. And to now get to a point where it's being seen and recognised as something that they want to put into educational systems, medical systems. The fact that in Nigeria, in South Africa, which is because it's for the African women in the diaspora, it is helping everybody for sure, because it's, there's a full breast check in there and people don't even know how to check themselves. So although it is about African women in the diaspora, it's for all women, because as I said, if we're at the bottom and we're getting help, it filters
and you're not
up.
having those conversations as well if those conversations aren't happening, because it's just got international distribution and extra funding.
So we are we've just done the African International Film Festival. We won Best Doc Audience Award at Cambridge Film Festival. Thank you. We're so proud.
Yeah, so you should be as well.
Really proud of her.
And we've just been selected for the Pan-African Film Festival, which is in Los Angeles. So it's hitting different continents, actually, which is what we've wanted. But also with a distribution company who's now approaching all the platforms. So we will see the fingers across, because the thing for us, and it was never about this because it was all self-funded, and I hope people understand how hard that is.
Oh, yeah. Listen, everybody, get behind it.
Although, it's great for people to be reimbursed and all that kind of stuff, but the money then gets turned into opportunity for us to do more outreach and set up centres and make sure that the resources are out there for people that normally don't feel is there for them. Because, as I said, representation is huge. And if you don't see yourself, if you don't recognize yourself, it's just like if you went to a clinic and every single thing that you looked at was just, I don't know, somebody from Venezuela, every single person, and not a single person looked like you or China or whatever, you'd be like, oh, am I in the wrong clinic?
Like, are you speaking to me?
Yeah,
are you going to know what's wrong with me?
So
I get it,
It's so important. And we've worked hard on the doc itself, but the outreach now and the advocacy work is probably the bulk of it. Even though filming it took its toll, and we worked really hard on that. We're just trying to make sure that as many people can see it. So we're doing a lot of free screenings to make sure that people are seeing it now. We can't necessarily just wait for the distributors to get the deal with Amazon or Discovery Channel or whatever. We have to make sure that as many people are seeing it, because we're getting contacted left, right, and centre by people who are seeing it, checking themselves. And one of two things is happening. Either they're finding things early and therefore getting the treatment and therefore living, or they've had a lump, they're crushed with anxiety because they don't want to get it checked because they're so scared and the taboo and the shame. And then they go and get it checked and they're fine. And that relief that they have, it's so overwhelming for them that they're just in floods of tears in messages and emails and things, just saying, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to have to tell my kids.
Thank you, because I would have been living with that for God knows how long. And that's detrimental to your health in general, living with that worry and stress.
And high cortisol.
I mean, I saw that Dr. Amir had said, for Black women in particular, like they are more likely to get aggressive forms of cancer younger, and also the fact that they would be at later stages when it's found. So this is a really big conversation, and it's really important that obviously Shades of Survival, like as you said, whilst it is focusing on an area, but the conversation is wider than that. It is a global conversation.
I think so. And I think what often happens, unfortunately, is that if it's not your life experience or it's not your demographic, often people see it as not an important topic to bring up, to discuss, to do something about, because we've all got our plates full. And we get that. But as I said, because the odds are stacked against Black women when it comes to healthcare, everyone up from that will benefit from it.
Yeah.
I mean, men don't even realize they can get breast cancer.
Yeah.
So the ones that have watched this documentary that was never intended for them in the first place are all of a sudden going, oh my gosh. And then they're checking themselves and they're telling their family members, and then they're speaking to their sisters, cousins, whatever. And they're like, this is what you go through. So we're so proud of the domino effect that it's having when it comes to enlightening people. And I'm learning still all the time. I mean, even having gone through that with Mum and different members of the family, and then myself, and then the people that I've interviewed all around the world for this documentary, I'm still learning all the time. And I think, it's hard enough to carry the weight of being sure if you're going to survive, live or die. But when you're in certain cultures or countries where they will say, oh, don't marry into that family, it's a cancer family. Or they think God must be displeased with them because he's made... It's just such a burden on top of the burden you are already carrying. And it unfortunately will impact your mental health as well, which a lot of people don't really talk about when it comes to cancer. But the aftermath for me is just as important, if not more important, than the surgery and the treatment. And so we're trying to hit all the points and help wherever we can.
I mean, for you, you are on technically, I suppose, the other side, but really still really managing the kind of fallout really from all of this. But you are back at work. You are kind of tenderly kind of coming back to work. You've done Vera, you were in Christmas in Paradise, and also more recently Girl Taken, which is incredible. I mean, tell me a little bit about the character, about Rachel, and about, I mean, Alfie looks amazing. So just tell me a little bit more about it.
I really love this one. I've worked on quite a few things recently, and we shot this actually in northern Spain, and I was away from the family for quite a bit. So I just thought, if I'm going to do this, let's just, you throw yourself into it, don't you? When it's a new job and you're meeting new people. But the thing for me especially with this particular character is she had such a belief in conviction in her, in what she believed was right. When it came to arguing, I guess, to the point with her boss, with her superior. And it reminded me of Mum, which sounds really random. But she just had this, I felt Mum there for me. It sounds really cliche, but there's just something about being particularly tenacious and having... I'm gonna push to the end of this regardless of what anyone else thinks, says, does, believes in me, whatever. And she started off just as a Bobby, essentially. And then ends up getting to the point where she's like, hang on a minute, we need to do this, we need to check this. And she was a great character, and the cast were really fun. It was just a nice, we had such a good giggle. Sometimes on set, you know what it's like when you're caught.
But you need that though, don't you? And, and you need a safe environment for you to kind of, like we said, tentatively get back to doing what you do best and what you love. And I suppose you'll never be that version of Victoria again, prior. And this new version, and you'll know that more than anybody. Like you're a different person now, and you must be so proud of her.
I am so proud of her. I mean, she constantly surprises me every time. Every time she announces she's doing something else, I'm just going, tick that one.
I love that.
Another one. Yeah, so I am constantly proud of her. I mean, I always knew she was going to do something because, I mean, from being a child, she sings around the house and she drives everybody crazy, standing on a coffee table, singing happy birthday in her own little tune or singing the nursery rhymes. Everybody watch me. I can do this, I can do that. Even to the point where she got me dressed up in a towel as a nappy and a dress, and I was playing.
Oh, it was just Shirley Temple.
I was in one of her plays, She did Shirley Temple.
Making plays up.
She played, she got me dressed up. She put my hair in like my mum's rollers,
I just had a mad
pinned
flashback.
it all up, dressed me up, and then she put all the chairs and all the family sat there, and we were there saying the lines. I kept forgetting mine, but she knew hers. I bet she was even repeating mine because I couldn't remember it. But that we knew that a star was being born in the family.
Do you remember the song?
I do. Some of it
She
I do.
wants you to do it now.
Oh my God. I don't know. What you doing, Snosh?
I've been reading books.
Oh, I can't remember now.
Put your books away.
Put your books away and let's go out and play.
Why?
Because.
Why?
Because.
I don't wanna.
Well, I don't remember
you
that.
are.
Well, you are.
I mean, we'll have to see kind of what else you guys can get up to.
It was just, she had my mum's high pencil or to put freckles on my face. Dressed me up like a little girl with curlers in.
She was a mini Shirley
She's done this
That's
entire...
hilarious.
Before we do have to kind of finish up, because I can't believe how quickly our time's gone today.
I know,
but, you know, are there any other projects that you two might do together? Or, you know, in terms of like the documentary, the things further that you want to do?
Well, as far as together, Mum is currently writing her life story.
Amazing.
There's a lot to it, and I'm really excited for people to see it. She's just the most incredible human being on the planet, and I'm so proud of her for lots of reasons. But just for, I don't know, just against all odds, every single moment of adversity, she's just this beacon of light, and she's got such a sunny disposition all the time. And I can't wait to be able to show that to the world. So that's something we're going to work on together.
Oh, bless her. She's going to cry again now.
Here she goes.
And you, like, if it becomes a TV series, you'll have to play it. And I'm sure you have the same sentiment for Victoria.
I do, yeah.
Oh,
I know that Victoria, this is just the beginning for her, and she's going to be doing lots more. And I'm just proud. She blows me away every time, and I know that. Having my grandson, which has been the biggest gift she's ever given me so far, it's you know, the piece of little icing on the cake that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger is the way I see her. This big cake from the day she was born, the cake just got bigger and bigger, and it's still growing.
Well, guys, I mean, it's such a beautiful place for us to kind of round off. I am so sorry we didn't have time to chat longer about so many other things. Okay. But thank you so much for being with me, guys. I'm sorry that we have run out of time for today. If you'd like even more from Victoria, you can follow her on Instagram at Victoria Ekanoye, where you can find out more about all of Victoria's brilliant projects and charity work. And you can also keep up with the progress of Shades of Survival. And to catch her as DC Rachel Brenton, Girl Taken is currently streaming on Paramount Plus and Amazon Prime Video. For more wellbeing and lifestyle from us, you can catch us at our website, thecapsule.co.uk, where you can also catch up with our previous podcast episodes by visiting the podcast page and subscribing to any of our podcast channels. You can also drop us a message at our Instagram @officialcapsule if you'd like to get involved on socials, or put any questions to any of our future guests, or just leave us a message about anything in general. As always, we do love hearing from you. I will be back with another very special guest, but today all that's left for us to say is goodbye. So it's goodbye from Victoria and Candy.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. And goodbye from me. Bye-bye.